Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Rhonda Farrell bringing you Spotlight on What's Next 2026, Week 16, From Traction to Translation, Turning Momentum into Market Relevant Impact. Over the past several weeks, we've walked through a deliberate leadership evolution, reminding ourselves that momentum is built through disciplined continuation, challenged us to architect for change, not just react to it. Establish that trust is no longer cultural, it is operational infrastructure. Pushed us further, showing that trust must convert into traction to create forward movement. Now, week 16 addresses the next leadership question. Once traction exists or we are in momentum, how do leaders ensure that translate into real sustained market impact? Because in 2026, momentum alone is not enough. Momentum must translate into relevance, results, and resilience. Again, I'm Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the CEO of Global Innovation Strategies, and we're talking about the emerging leadership signal that we're seeing right now across industries and markets. A new pattern is becoming clear. Organizations and entrepreneurs are moving faster than ever. AI is accelerating execution. Digital platforms are lowering barriers to entry. Innovation cycles are compressing, but something critical is happening beneath the surface. Many leaders are generating momentum, but struggling to translate that momentum into measurable business outcomes. In other words, they are very active, but not always very effective, busy, but not always aligned. And in today's environment, misaligned momentum creates additional risk. So the next leadership shift is that high-performing leaders in 2026 are recognizing a new discipline, and that is translation is the new execution advantage. It is not enough to build, to launch, to scale. Leaders must ensure that every initiative translates into customer value, revenue growth, operational strength, strategic positioning. The leadership question becomes, is what we are building actually moving the business forward or just keeping us in motion? So our three translation moves for week 16 are as follows. One, align every initiative to a business outcome, because momentum often creates activity across multiple fronts: marketing, operations, technology, and partnerships. But without alignment, that activity fragments impact. High-performing leaders are asking, what outcome is this initiative driving? How does it connect to our revenue growth and resilience goals and outcomes? Would the business feel that impact if this was to stop? So what's changing? Well, we're really moving from an activity-based execution to an outcome-based leadership model. And especially for solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, this is critical because time is your most constrained asset. We need to convert, number two, convert capability into market value. Many leaders are investing in AI tools, automation, new capabilities, and expanded services, but capability alone does not create value. Value is created when capability is positioned clearly, delivered consistently, and understood by the market. The gap, well, that's that organizations build capability, but fail to translate that into differentiation. High-performing organizations and leaders close the gap between what they can do and what the market recognizes as value add. Number three, tighten the loop between execution and feedback. In an AI-accelerated world, time between action and insight shrinks. Leaders who win are compressing the cycle exponentially between execution, feedback, adjustment, re-execution. This creates faster learning cycles, stronger alignment, and much better exponential results. So what's changing? We're moving from linear execution to adaptive execution systems. Why does this matter so much? Because in the 2026 environment, it's being defined by AI-driven acceleration, market saturation in many sectors, increased competition from non-traditional players, and higher expectations for speed and clarity. For solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, the risk is not moving too slowly. The risk is moving in the wrong direction at speed. For executive leaders, the risk is scaling initiatives that do not translate into higher enterprise value. So our week 16 reflection is to take a moment to consider, where are we generating momentum but not necessarily co-joint results? Which initiatives are active but not clearly tied to outcomes? Where are we building capability without necessarily clear market translation? And how fast are we learning from execution? Because sometimes the issue is not effort, it is alignment. So our week 16 action to take is to choose one active initiative. Then ask yourself or your team, what outcomes is this driving? How is that outcome or results being measured? And what feedback are we using to adjust and pivot accordingly, if necessary? If the answers are unclear, it's time to refocus or redesign, because translation begins with clarity. So our closing thought for today is that momentum creates movement, traction creates progress, but translation creates results that matter. And in the leadership landscape of 2026, those who thrive will not simply move faster, they will ensure that everything they build moves the business forward with intention and has value. Again, this is Dr. Rhonda Farrell wrapping up week 16 of Spotlight on What's Next 2026, from traction to translation, turning momentum into market relevant impact.